Hey there everyone, this is Ill Factor from beatacademy.com. In this video I'm going to walk you through a little bit of my vocal processing for an artist that I'm developing named Rena Jones. Now the style of the production and the song that I'm producing for this artist leans a little bit more towards that Bishop Briggs and that alternative pop type vibe. So a lot of the vocals needed some space and some good processing to really match the vibe that I'm looking for with the production of the track. So let me go ahead and play a little bit of it, and then I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the processing that I'm applying to the vocals.
Reborn and ready to fight, ready to conquer. This flame deep down inside, our souls consumed by fire, nothing left to say. Gonna burn this temple down now, burn it all away, burn it all away. Burn it all away.
All right, so let me walk you through some of the processing. So here we have the lead vocal bus, and the first thing I'm doing in my vocal chain for this is having a gate so that I'm eliminating any background noises. And this vocal in particular was recorded right behind me in the control room, and I've been doing that lately because I've just been loving the vibe that it's creating when I'm here with the songwriter or with the artist, and we're genuinely in the vibe, in the zone. Just have the mic set up there, and we're just kind of basically going back and forth and trying to capture the best performance possible. And then right after the gate, we have a virtual, the Slate digital virtual tape machine. And so I'm using this because the main focal point for this vocal, I want it to be grimy, distorted, and saturated, but yet have this this classiness to it. So I start with using and pretending as if I was recording the vocal onto the actual tape here. And so I can drive the input a little bit to get some more of that tape saturation. Some more of I drive it. You can hear it right there. So I have it right there. After the tape saturation, I have the Slate digital virtual console control. I'm using this to emulate a little bit more saturation that I would get from a channel strip. And right now we have it set to the Neve preset. And I've taken the group IO off because I have this preset on all of my tracks here. I'm just slamming it just a little bit, or a lot. I mean, it's just getting it to where it sounds good. And then right after that, we start doing the EQing. So the first two are really just to kind of set the tone and the timbre of the vocal. And now I can use the EQ to kind of shape it and eliminate any frequencies that don't really sit well in the mix. So start around 136 hertz, got rid of all of that low end. A lot of the boominess over here in that low mid. There was just something here in the 600 that just didn't sit well with me, and then boosting a lot of the air here, because since we've added some saturation in the tape stuff beforehand, boosting this also brings some of those artifacts as well.
Reborn and ready to fight.
And then we have a Neutron. I'm using the Neutron here, and it's another EQ, but I'm using the Neutron EQ more dynamically. And what I mean by that is I'm just simply choosing spots, and I have the dynamic mode on. So it's really just like almost like not a multi-band compressor, but what it's doing, it's compressing specific frequencies. So it's not doing another cut. It'll leave that frequency alone only when the vocal performance reaches a certain threshold. You can see it going on right there. Let me take it from the pre-chorus.
Our souls consumed by fire, nothing left to say.
So that's what it's doing there. It's just allowing that certain frequencies to just come down in reduction when depending on how much that frequency passes a threshold. And the reason why this is different than just using another EQ is that if for some reason she's singing a lot louder in a certain section and that frequency seems to be stronger than other sections, it will compress it differently than it will, let's say, in the verse as opposed to in the chorus. So that's what I'm using that for. And then right after that, we have a de-esser that I'm using from Eosis.
Our souls consumed by fire.
There's a lot of de-essing going on here, and I've been really a big fan of this de-esser. It's just pretty transparent, so I like that it's not leaving a big footprint there.
Our souls consumed by fire.
And right after that, I'm just topping, squeezing everything together, all the processing together with a compressor. I'm using the LA2A from Universal Audio, and I'm doing about maybe -5, maybe anywhere -4 and -5 gain reduction.
Our souls consumed by fire. Nothing left to say.
The way I kind of do it is I just squash it until it sounds good, and then throttle it back a little bit and scale it back just to kind of get the right overall balance. And what you can do is when I lower when I release the peak reduction, when I raise the threshold, so to speak, you can hear the low mid stick out a little bit more.
Our souls consumed by fire. Nothing left to say.
You can see how they now disappear a little bit when I compress it.
Our souls consumed by fire.
And that's cool. Now it's evenly balanced and an evenly balanced dynamic performance. So that's what I like about having that compressor there in the part of the chain. And then we're using just a little bit of tuning going on, but I'm automating it because on certain parts of the song, it doesn't sound well when it's doing its detuning. So I'm just automating that. And then I have a utility just to go ahead and manipulate some of the volume changes, because I do my volume automation with the utility gain as opposed to trying to automate the volume. That way, if I just wanted the overall vocal to come up a couple of decibels or come down, I can do that with my volume knob here, or the volume fader, and not alter the actual changes in the automation of the volume of the vocal. So definitely recommend doing that and automating with the gain on a utility plugin, as opposed to any of you'll see that I have no automation going on with my volume faders because I do it all with a utility gain plugin to do that with.
Our souls consumed.
Now, as far as the effect that we have going on, we've got we have an echo here, and I'm doing two things with this echo, which seem to be really cool. I'm using the echo for a really cool slap back. That's why the feedback's down. But then I'm also using it to build some really cool transitional effects and build tension. So let me show you I'll take it at the end of the bridge into the last chorus. So you hear those transitions, you hear how the feedback on the delay really adds some nice tension and build from one phrase of the vocals to the next. And that's what I'm using. So let me go back to the echo here. And so I'm automating the feedback. And usually if you leave a feedback completely all the way to the right or maxed out on a delay plugin, you're hearing that delay loop just go over and over and over, and it just builds and builds and builds on top of it. It just compounds, and it starts to distort, and it starts to get louder and louder in volume. And that's what we're doing here. I'm doing that purposely so that the last part of this vocal gets caught in that forever delay, and then I could shut it off immediately when the rest of the track shuts off here. So let me go and play that. It's a really cool effect and adds a lot of drama.
Burn it all away.
And I'm making sure that the timing, I have it set to every triplet, so it gives it that nice triplet feel and timing throughout in between each of the phrases. So that's what we're using that echo for. And then next I have a big part of the sound and tone of this vocal in this track is the plate reverb. I'm using the EMT 140 from Universal Audio, and I'm using the C plate reverb, preset C over here. It's a little bit darker than A and B, and so I am going for dark, and it's going to be very evident here in the second verse where there's a lot more space and minimal instrumentation.
Reborn
See, this is without the reverb. The vocals dry right in your face.
Reborn and ready to fight, ready to conquer.
And a lot of the records like this that I like, like I mentioned earlier, Bishop Briggs and other artists like that, have that nice plate reverb just lushly behind them and supporting them and adding that kind of atmosphere. So I made sure that the pre-delay is a little bit, I'm really drastic here, halfway, almost at 50% here, or just halfway there. And I'm doing this to taste because I want the delay, the reverb to be a little bit delayed. I want the vocal to perform and the reverb just to be right behind her.
Reborn and ready to fight.
And then after that, I'm doing a little bit of processing on another return track, and I'm doing some distortion. And this is more of like just some texture to add behind the vocal as well. So let me just solo that. And we're using the Ableton Live pedal plugin here to add some distortion. And then I use the cabinet plugin to smooth out that distortion. Without it, it just becomes a little bit brittle and harsh, and it kind of pokes out at the mix a little too much. So using the cabinet for that, a little EQing to have it balance well within the mix. And then we're using the echo, and I have it set from the time, from sync to time, and I'm making a really short delay here. And what I'm doing is just kind of making sure that the left and the right delay time are set differently so that it widens up the stereo imaging. What I'm going to do is go ahead and so I'm doing that right there, and then just make sure that I filter out any of the unwanted frequencies there, and then just kind of mess around with that. So here it is with the actual lead vocal.
Reborn and ready to fight.
So what's cool about this is that you hear the distortion effect after the lead vocal. So the lead vocal up front won't be distorted, but yet when she stops singing, you kind of still feel the distortion effect from this return track here. And I just kind of balance it out here in the mix.
Reborn and ready to fight. Reborn and ready to fight, ready to conquer.
And after that, we're using a waves doubler, which I have in the last return track here, and I have it set to the doubler for voices preset. And I made sure that I took out the direct signal because I already have that going on with the dry lead vocal. So I took that off, and I'm using this to really just help smear more of that stereo imaging for the vocal. And the reason being too also is because I just have that one lead vocal and going on for the most time, and she's got a really strong performance going on in the choruses here. So what I do with a little bit of automation is I can go ahead and automate the doubler to be a little bit more present during the choruses, and then scale it down during the verses. So that's how I'm really using all those effects and the processing to get the vocals to really fit well within the vibe of the song. Well, I hope this video has been helpful for you, and as my gift to you, I've put together some customized effects and instruments that you can use in your Ableton Live projects, such as vocal chains and effects that you can use to process those vocals. As well, I've put together a sample pack from some of my past projects over the past year, filled with construction kits, loops, one-shots, transition effects, and they're 100% royalty free, and you can drag and drop them into any DAW that you're currently using. Just simply click the link below in the description box and download this free folder with the sample pack and the vocal chain included. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.